unfortunately, the society in which we live, not only the educational institutions, but the whole society, builds that into our system. And certainly modern consumer society is like that. It's very utilitarian. And it's not a real meaningful, however they might advertise it on a billboard or some slogan, it's not as genuine as when you know who you are, you know who the other person is, you know what their needs are, you know what their wants are, you know what's important to them, you know yourself, you don't abandon yourself, you have a genuine, wholesome, meaningful relationship. Now, here's a detail, an important detail. To know yourself is not minus who you are in relation to the big picture of everything, or the whole. The part is of the whole, or the living entity is of the Supreme. So that's part of knowing who you are and knowing who the other person is. It's a detail. It's an important detail. Supposing you don't know that, then you don't really know the person. It's really difficult to have a profound and meaningful, loving relationship. I mean, people try, and it doesn't end up as satisfying and fulfilling as when there's proper knowledge. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is there, and other sacred texts or wisdom literature is there to give us an understanding of who we really are. Here's a little anecdote. I didn't present it here, but I've heard on multiple occasions. There was a New York Post phone interview with Srila Prabhupada many years ago, 1967, 1968, something like that, New York City. Radio interviewer, you hear the voice. Swamiji, yes? You came to this country for some purpose. You must have come with some message to give to the people of America. Could you share with us what that message is that you came to give? Pause. Know yourself. Silence. Reporter. Know yourself. Prabhupada repeated. Know yourself. Like so simple. Meaning, for the most part, people don't know who they are. We have some idea of who we are. We fill out applications and identify who you are. I mean, when I travel, it's like they take your picture. Sometimes they take your thumbprint, and they want to verify who you are because you're the body. That's your name. This is your credentials, your passport. That's who you are. But that's not who you are. So the society in which we live doesn't operate on the platform of who we really are. I mean, for some people it's not consequential, and some people it's too vague and unclear. We have bodies, we have identities in terms of the covering, but that's not the covering is not who we are. It's really simple. But try to have a relationship where you don't know who you are and who the other person is, and it's unfulfilling. Or in the language in this little presentation, there's the right and there's the wrong way. The right way is to know all these things. And if in a pure relationship, it results from knowledge of one's spiritual identity. And impure is not knowing what one's spiritual identity is. So here's two young people licking on an ice cream. And question, is this pure love that we just given a little definition for, can you receive it, or is it to be obtained from outside source? According to the teaching of Rupa Goswami, again, keeping it really simple, no. Knowledge of our identity awakens the pure love within us. What does that mean? It means that according to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami, who we really are is already within us, but it's covered and forgotten. And that covered, forgotten, true identity can be awakened by two things. By sound, sound removes the covering and awakens who we really are. That goes back to the mantra message. The mantra has these two effects. It removes coverings and it awakens what we already know, what we have forgotten. The true knowledge of who we really are. At least the potency is there, and the potency acts differently according to the receptivity. You know, how carefully and with attention we listen to that sound. You listen attentively to the sound, the potency is there to do these two things. One more time. Remove the coverings, the misidentification, the Sanskrit word is upadi, the misidentification with who I'm not, the body and the mind, and the emotions in the mind, and the feelings, and etc. And then there's who we really are. And the awakening of who we really are comes through sound, starting with the mantra, and then enhanced further by the message of Bhagavad Gita and other wisdom literatures. It pinpoints and resonates with who we really are. And sometimes some lights go on. I'm going to tell a little story. It'll help, I hope, to understand what I'm saying. I grew up in upstate New York in a family of 5 children. I was the youngest of 5 children. And I had 3 older sisters and an older brother. And the 2 of my older sisters, they liked playing piano. There's some people that have come in. We're going to try moving forward so that you all can come a little closer if you want. If you want to stay back there, that's also okay. Thank you all very, very much for sliding up a bit. Okay. 2 of my sisters liked playing piano. They're kind of musical. And so Mom and Dad bought them a piano. And I wasn't a piano person, I was a drum person, but I was a curious kid, and I remember very clearly 3 occasions on an annual basis they would have the piano. My sisters practiced piano almost daily, 2 of them, so it kind of like the piano gets out of tune over a year. So once a year, piano tuner came. And I was really curious, how's he going to tune the piano? So he came in the door, and he carried what looked like a guitar case. So when he opened it up, I saw it wasn't a guitar at all. There was no guitar inside the guitar case, because it wasn't a guitar case. It was piano tuner's equipment. And inside the case, there were these tuning forks. Tuning fork is like a U-shaped prong that has a little handle on the end. And there's one for each of the notes of the musical scale. And then another instrument he had was a little rubber mallet. It was round with a handle, with a stick on it. And then he would take that rubber mallet, let's just say the C tuning fork, and bong it. And it would vibrate the C frequency. And I watched carefully. He opened up the back of the piano where all the piano cables are, or cords are, and he didn't touch the vibrating tuning fork to the C, he just held it near it. Because it would vibrate, and it would vibrate the same frequency as the C. The one next to it didn't vibrate. One on the other side didn't vibrate. Only that one vibrated. Because it was the same frequency. And then there's a way, I don't know how to best articulate this, but when it's in tune, there you could see the chord would go in waves, it would converge and then bulge out again, And if it was out of tune, he would tighten it or loosen it until it got to be so it was in tune. So the vibration of that cord, the C cable, was in tune. Then he put the C one away, got the G sharp, and hit that one, and because he knew which one on the piano. And he went through the whole piano that way. And why am I sharing all this? It has everything to do with sound, because when you hit that tuning fork, it vibrates. It's a vibration. And the vibration makes sound. It moves air in a certain frequency, and that makes a certain sound. And that sound vibrates or resonates with the certain note on the keyboard, or the strings of the piano. Similarly, that mantra that we chanted at the beginning, showed on the beginning of the screen, it has an effect of resonating with the soul that's inside, because they're qualitatively the same. The Supreme and the individual soul are qualitatively, not quantitatively, but qualitatively the same. So by saying the mantra, that which we aren't becomes cleared, and that which we are becomes awakened. And you vibrate through sound. It's very simple. I mean, you may not understand all that stuff when you're chanting, but that's what's going on. It's a vibration that resonates with who we really are. And then you go along and read literature, wisdom literature, that helps you understand, oh, now I understand. Because the covering has been removed and who I really am has become a little bit resonated and awakened. And now I'm reading this wisdom literature, and it tells me things that a little light goes on that says, yeah, that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, you keep going forward, and you get a good teacher that can help you understand. This is how it works. This is this, and that's that, and this is how the puzzle pieces fit together, and that's material nature, and that's the living entity, and that's the controller of both, called Sankhya philosophy, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, and chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita. So then the puzzle pieces start to fit together, while you're continuing with your chanting and understanding about what a real, meaning a spiritual conception of myself and another, and the Supreme, a real relationship is. A real relationship of exchanging emotion on the spiritual plane. It can come down to the physical plane. It does, commonly. But it's not. It doesn't have the same satisfaction. It's like the piano that's out of tune or something like that. So now I'm going to go back to the text that's on the screen. No, knowledge of our identity awakens the pure love within us. That is to say, it's already there, but it's dormant, it's not awakened yet. And sound awakens it. When we are covered by ignorance, that is, not knowing who we really are, that's ignorance, everything becomes impure. Some argue that impure relationship based on the body, can work. So here's a little statistic exercise. Does it really work? In the United States last year, little over 2 million marriages. And of those marriages, according to statistics, 35% of the marriages are likely to end in divorce within 15 years. That's not a good statistic about marriage. How durable is it? And sometimes when there's marriage, there's children. And the number of live births in just the USA, a little over 4.3 million births. And of those, almost 1 million spontaneous abortions and 1.197 million procured abortions. So we have a relationship, but we don't want the fruit of that relationship, so we do something. Procured abortions. Or crimes against persons and crimes against property. That's not a wholesome relationship, something wrong. 1.4 million crimes against persons, 9.8 million crimes against property. And there's etc., etc. There's the Journal of Adolescent Medicine, speaking about relationship violence in college, amongst college students. Here's from their little publication. All forms of relationship violence are prevalent among male and female college students. Almost half of students had experienced relationship violence at some point in their lives. More than 1/3 had experienced violence before college. 1/4 had experienced violence during college. Something's wrong with that relationship. So, mini summary. All those statistics are just to validate or to give support to the idea that when there's love between one temporary body and another temporary body, that you have temporary limited love. And then the alternative option is there. Love between one eternal powerful soul, another eternal powerful soul, results in lasting powerful relationships. Now, that's a nice idea. Now, what do you do about the fact that there's differences? I mean, just looking around the room, there's a few differences amongst, people who are with us this evening. And how do we handle differences? Now, from here, I'm going to a suburb of Chicago, and the topic that I'm going to be speaking, 4 classes on the same topic, the importance of respect in relationships. I mean, specifically, importance of respect amongst Vaishnavas. It's true anywhere outside of Vaishnava community, but within I'm on my soapbox now. I'm gonna Sakatoon. It's really important, and because without it, and with it, it's a whole other experience. And we want it. We want love and to be loved. We want meaningful relationships. We want wholesome relationships. We want real relationships. And there are differences. Here's a nice discussion. This is a Prabhupada story. Prabhupada is having a discussion with Professor O'Grady in Ireland. Nice Irish name, O'Grady. And Professor O'Grady was saying, how do you do this? You're the guru of a worldwide organization. There's so many differences. And how do you have everybody get along? Because you could put differences together and there's sometimes conflict. So Prabhupada gestured to a vase that was on the table. He said, take a look at this vase. There's many different kinds of flowers, of many different colors, and many different fragrances, and that makes it very beautiful. He didn't say the opposite, supposing it's only one color, only one fragrance, only one type of flower, and that's a vase. But it's not as beautiful as with diversity. Then he explained the principle of unity in diversity, which I'm also going to spend a little bit of time with. The illustration on the screen, this is a Bhagavad Gita painting. The verse says, you see that fellow standing up in the back by the tree? That's the introspective sage, according to the verse of Bhagavad Gita. The artist made him a sannyasi, but the introspective sage sees with equal vision, sama darshana, equal vision, a cow, a dog eater, a brahmana, and an elephant. Now, there's 5 different categories. They're all very different. So there's differences. But when there's differences, there's something that's the same within. That's the unity within diversity. What's that same thing that's within? You see from the artist's illustration, the super soul is within. Individual soul is different as the coverings of bodies are different, but the super soul is the same. So however many persons there are here, whatever it is, 25 persons, some number, there's one super soul in the heart of each of us. It's the same super soul in the heart of each of us. There's an individual soul that's different for each of us, and coverings are certainly different for each of us. There's differences and differences, but there's also some sameness. Here's a little illustration to make the point clear just by images. This is a splash of water. Supposing we had a little pond of water up front here, and they gave everybody a little pebble and asked you, could you please put your pebble in the pool of water and see what happens? This is what happens. Little splash, and then concentric circles go out, and it's very nice. It's all very nice. And then, okay, now you put your pebble into the body of water, what happens? It's another concentric circles that expand, but at some point, concentric circles intersect with other concentric circles and they clash. Then supposing we say, okay, everybody on the count of 3, throw your pebble into the water. What happens? Chaos. That's no diversity, only diversity and no unity. That's when, so that the solution is a spiritual center. Because without the spiritual center, you're going to have conflict. And that's what goes on in the world. But supposing, okay, here's another pebble. Everyone, place your pebble on the same place, at the same center. And the concentric circles expand out, but they amplify, they don't clash with one another. Now, supposing we just arbitrarily pick some common center. Like, what's the supreme? And supreme is fill in the blank. And I have my idea of what's supreme, and she's got her idea, and he's got his idea, and there's different ideas. So my idea is right? And your idea is not mine, so your idea is not right? And then there's quarrel. So what's the center? What's the source of everything? That's a good question. That's the Bhagavad Gita question, by the way. And the declaration of Bhagavad Gita is there's only one source. There's not multiple sources of everything. There's one source of everything. By different names and different ways of describing, but there's one source of everything. You find that one source of everything, you huddle around that one source of everything, and you won't have conflict. You have unity with diversity. Diversity is beautiful. Respect it. Honor it. Treat people differently because they're different. At the same time, there's a sameness, and honor the sameness, honor the spiritual identity and the source of the supreme that's within. There's many things to say, but I'm just going to go on, and we're nearly done. Some of you know something about Marshall Rosenberg. Who knows something about Marshall Rosenberg? Okay, a few of you. Marshall Rosenberg, his photograph is here. He lives somewhere in the southwest USA, Arizona or New Mexico or something like that. And he started a system. He was a Buddhist, and he started a system of nonviolent communication and had a school and taught people how to communicate in a nonviolent way. And he's shown here, on the one hand, there's 2 puppets. One, and his right hand, that's a jackal. The left hand, it's a giraffe. Then he would model giraffe talk as like this. That's the compassionate communicator, nonviolent communicator. And he explains he chose the giraffe because although the body is big, the heart is really big compared to the rest of their body. And then the other is the jackal, and jackal speak, rah, 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 rah. Communicating, but in jackal speak, or violent, harsh tones and methods of communicating, the same thing. So same thing, giraffe speak, same thing, jackal speak, and which is going to be the non-violent communication he was teaching, as Buddhists like nonviolence. So how to speak without violence. Guess what? It's in Bhagavad Gita. This very same, you can look it up later in your Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 15. Krishna calls it austerity of speech, where you communicate very, very cautiously. You want to communicate honestly and transparently and truthfully. At the same time, it's not violent. It's pleasing. Speak the truth pleasingly can be a challenge sometimes. Speaking the truth is a challenge sometimes. Speaking the truth pleasingly is double challenging sometimes. But that's the indication of Bhagavad Gita. One more, and then we're almost done. You see at the bottom left, there's a fellow named Chad Meng Tan. He's a Japanese fellow, I think, and he worked for Google. And he has a little TED talk that he does on this topic, and he explains, he's a nice man, very good speaker. He is now a full-time employee of Google, and his whole business is how to have compassionate communication. Like, what we just heard Marshall Rosenberg does. Now here's a detail. There's an ISKCON devotee. His name is Bir Krishna Maharaj. Maybe some of you know him. I know Vedaji knows him. And he liked what Marshall Rosenberg was teaching. He went and enrolled as one of his students. He took the whole seminar and then took it back to ISKCON and ISKCONized it. And he just changed the name from nonviolent communication to empathic communication. And some devotees really like it. I know one person really likes it. They took his course, they went and studied in Marshall Rosenberg School. And now they're a certified nonviolent communication teacher, but they're teaching empathic communication. Why? Because it's important. Why is it important? Krishna says it's important. We have to communicate. Lord Chaitanya teaches to have relationships that are wholesome and meaningful. You communicate, but to communicate in a way that's understanding the other, and you understand yourself, and you communicate corresponding to that situation. So, back to Google. This fellow explains at the beginning of his talk, in Google, it's a big corporation with a lot of smart people who think they have the best answer to everything. You put all those people in a room, and they're going to have some conflicts. They found they didn't want to have conflicts. They wanted to have a good product. And so he came up with this idea. They changed his job to just do this one thing, to teach seminars on how to speak with compassion. And this is his model. In compassion, or in communication, or in a relationship that's like we were discussing, there's an affective part, that's something that you feel, a cognitive part, something that you understand about yourself and the other person, and a motivational part, something you want to do something for another person, not to another person, but for another person. When there's compassion, all three of those line up. Now, I just adjusted this a little bit to correspond with Bhagavad Gita's message. In Bhagavad Gita's message, amanitvam, or humility, is an essential part. of engaging in knowledge or engaging in devotion. You respect with humility. There are persons who are wise and persons who are learned, who are spiritually more advanced than me, and that's nice, and that my regard for them is humble, and the ambition is I want to model, I want to become like they are teaching. And he makes reference to this book, if you're interested in the book, From Good to Great. It's a similar, Jim Collins wrote a book on companies that went from good to great. And this is our next to the last slide. This is from Mother Teresa's orphanage in Calcutta. She put this on the wall. I hope you like it, I like it. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyways. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you'll win some faithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. But you spend years creating, others can destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Do good anyway. Give the best you have. It will never be enough. Give your best anyway. And here's the punchline. In the final analysis, it's between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So this is the relationship between us and the source of everything. There's a relationship. There's a relationship that we have in all that we do, say, believe, etc., etc. It's our relationship with Krishna is part of that is all these other things. So follow your value system, align your value system with your relationship with the Supreme, the source of everything. And be happy in that relationship with the Supreme and develop it and nurture it, and that'll make all of your other relationships rich and meaningful. And if the persons that are jealous or object or something, that's okay. Because if the alignment with the Supreme is in place, that's this unity and diversity. Here's our last, it's a little video. This was created for the purpose of sharing the same message, and then we're done for this evening. The nature of relationships. that's it for this evening. I think you got the picture. Rupa Goswami giving Lord Chaitanya's teachings on how to live the life that Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, where we're taking full shelter of him, Mam Ekam Sharanam. And it's in one sense easier said than done, but in another sense, it's the platform of satisfaction. Atma suprasidati, satisfaction of the self within, and that's something we want. We, to whatever degree we have it, we are enthusiastic to help other people also touch that satisfaction of the self within, and then exchange meaningful relationships. That's our life. So let's see if there's some discussion. Currency of relationships.
All right.
Yes.
I very much appreciate. I'm sorry I missed on the beginning of the program. I'm curious to know from your point of view how you came to put together this presentation, and maybe say a little bit more about what you're doing in increasing and distributing it. It seems like a really great opportunity for all of us.
A little background is what you're looking for, and carrying it forward. Well, 57 years of practicing Bhakti Yoga has been a big help in assimilating this message and trying to live by this message. Naturally, reading Rupa Goswami's writings, reading Nectar of Devotion, which is Prabhupada's rendering of Rupa Goswami's writings, a summary study he called it. Doing that and living the life and understanding the necessity. Here we are. There are a bunch of us from different backgrounds coming together, and there's differences, and sometimes when there's differences, there's misunderstandings. And so, so seeing all of that over the years, that the impetus for taking a message that's very simple, ABC, simple, and yet meaningful and practical at the same time. So that was the impetus. That there's a little bit of the history, and some of the artwork is compliments of Shivaram Maharaj. I can't remember exactly. He does lots of creative things, but there's something to do with his creativity, and I remember the history. So that's part of the package. And from time to time, I'm asked in different settings to speak on different topics. I would just, at Syracuse, not so long ago, at Syracuse University, and I was asked to speak on this topic at Syracuse University. And people liked it. Different audience, but the very same presentation. So what am I doing this, going here and there and all around town, taking the same message? Like I said, the audience this coming weekend, it's Martin Luther King weekend. We picked that weekend because it's a national holiday. And I'm going to be speaking on this topic. Radha Krishna Prabhu from Houston, Texas, disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He's going to be a co-speaker, and just stir the topic. And why? Because that's how, and then why is because we need it. Many persons are sincere, but kind of not so cultured yet. A little refinement helps. So that's a little response to your question.
Were these programs going on? And what venue do you have set up? Is it going to be here in Atlanta? Or
Say it again. What's the venue?
the venue, the place of where you're going to?
I'm going to. It's a suburb of Chicago. I'll say the name. It's called Naperville. Doesn't mean anything to you folks down here. You know, it's a suburb, but there's a nice temple, and as far I was told that 300 people have registered to attend, because kind of like Central USA attendees coming from different places to take part in refining our quality of relationships. That's one event, and then, you know, the others can be done similarly. Anything else? Yes.
Thanks, Swami. Thank you.
Hi, Krishna.
Hare Krishna. When we're in situations like we are and we're surrounded by like-minded people, all of these lessons are very easy
Yeah.
to keep, you keep your heart burning. And so I keep coming into sanghas and lucky to know Veda and yeah, it keeps that alive. But then
But
what can we do on a day-to-day basis when we're at work or we're in challenging situations to not sort of go off the path?
okay. If you're carrying something in your heart, it spills out. And in a challenging situation, it may confine what's in your heart, but it doesn't take what's in your heart away. And it can also make it spill out some more. Like you feel the necessity. You know, they can be the silent or the medium or the, out loud approach. So when in conflicting situations in work and others, cultivate it nicely in your heart, in sadhusanga and in your home, because the big part of what we do is what we do just in our homes with our own hearts and super soul and our relationship with Guru and Krishna. You cultivate that strongly. There's principles of how to cultivate Krishna Bhakti, and then you take that with you. Then you become a little perambulatory Bhagavad Gita messenger in the workplace or wherever you may be, in the marketplace, buying stuff, and I just have a little example. One of the ways that I associate with people that aren't devotees is when I travel. And I'm very, very, very aware, dressed this way with tilak and everything, I kind of stick out. Tell you a little secret. If you fly in Southwest, they don't assign seats. So I'd like an aisle seat, and then there's somebody in the window seat, but if there's empty seats, one of them's going to be next to me because people don't like to sit next to a Hare Krishna guy. Because like, whoa. So I'm aware that, I'm representing all of you. You don't interact with these people on that flight, but when I interact with people on the flight, I'm aware that I'm representing all of you, and I have to be representative of the character and conduct and the manner of speech of a Vaishnava. Because they're checking, not only what I say and do, but the whole spirit and mood with which I carry myself. And it's interesting to see how people respond. I can tell you some little stories, but people respond in a very interesting way. Here's one. In flights, one of the procedures is that the flight attendant comes along and takes drinks. What would you like? So when she got to me, she didn't write. She just said, "May I ask you, are you a monk?" Sometimes I'm tempted to say it's not Halloween. But I didn't say that. I said, yeah, but usually when people ask this question, they say, are you a Buddhist monk? And you didn't ask, am I a Buddhist monk? She said, well, are you a Buddhist monk? He said, no, I'm a Krishna monk. She said, oh, what order? And she kept asking, what order? I said, yeah, I'm a sannyasi. That's what this particular dress means. She said, have you taken a vow of silence? I said, we wouldn't be having this conversation. She knew something about it, Mauna Vrata. So, it was, and so what order? The Hare Krishna book, this kind. She said, I thought so. Okay. What would you like to drink? They're curious. There's other stories, but, be an example. And some people in the workplace are of all the different modes of nature. The whole spectrum is there. Most of them are in the mode of passion, and they're very ambitious, and they want position or money, recognition, or something. So you just be in the mode of goodness, and be what you understand a devotee should be. And if they're gruff or aggressive or something, you just be who you are. And and sometimes I've heard this from devotees. In the workplace, if you're a gentleman or a gentle lady, they'll try to take advantage of you because you're a pushover. They're aggressive. So you don't have to become like they are. You can be who you are, but you're protected because you're Krishna's devotee, and they can't touch you. They may think they're going to, but they can't touch you because you have your Krishna connection intact, and you're showing them that's a greater strength than theirs. It's not like dueling, but you have that faith and confidence, and you can impact the people in the workplace. Maybe not that person that's the aggressive one, but the other people in the workplace that say there's something different about you. Tell me what's going on. And then you can say, if they ask. But at least they'll know something. You're giving bhakti, even unknowingly, in a place where people aren't bhaktas. But you're infecting them in a good sense with bhakti shakti. So back to the question. What you do in your home, what you do inside the Sangha, and get that spiritual strength, carry that with you. You're an instrument of Krishna in a different form, as I do when I travel, and other ways that I move about with people they don't know anything about Krishna. They may have their good attitude, bad attitude, whatever. Just be a good example. And that's how bhakti can spread. Because somebody in that workplace may be a candidate for Krishna Prasadam or something. And there's many stories. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I'm in the lucky position that I'm a yoga teacher, so I do
You're a yoga teacher.
I do get to talk about it, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Great occupation.
Yeah.
Good way to convey bhakti to people that want good, healthy bodies. Anything else?
I had a question, Maharaj. I was wondering when you're talking about kind of pure relationships, I was thinking of how a lot of devotees, like when they kind of first learn about Krishna consciousness, they'll kind of say that they're attracted by how nice devotees are and how, there's like a special kind of compassion, something special there.
Yes.
I guess I was wondering, is the reason for that what you were saying about like a pure relationship where somebody who's in knowledge of who they are,
yes,
and who you are?
Let's be honest, and directionally more so than those that don't know who they are, and at the same time directionally there's a lot of room to grow, a lot of improvement in the qualities, the Vaishnava qualities that we carry and exhibit, that we whether we say it or don't, whether we do it or don't, it's just to carry it. I'm sure that I have been in the company of persons that are very cultured, and they don't have to even say anything. Just being in their presence, you feel it. And it's power. Maybe it's because I'm a devotee and I have a sense of their character, but it's powerful. And when they do say something, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch. It can just be something very simple. And it carries weight or power because of what's inside them. And that merit that they have inside them has come from who knows how many lifetimes or years or, of controlling the mind and senses and following principles of Dharma, what's to be done, and so forth. And they're a walking example of good character, good quality. So it's not always like that, because new people come in the door all the time. And sometimes new people that come in the door, they have virtue, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they got a mix. And then that gets into the, back to her question. Then, the sadhu sangha is mixed along with sadhu sangha. Then some people don't have that good experience. They have the experience with somebody that's the mixed person that says harsh things or whatever. And they go, whoa, I thought this was a place where people are up there. I can see that's not always the case. And then now the whole organization becomes judged by that could be bad experience. It happens, unfortunately. So always be striving, not just for a show bottle or showcase kind of display of bhakti, but so that the experience of a relationship with others and a relationship with the Supreme is what's carrying you in your heart and going forward, in your yoga classes, and wherever else you may be, in an airplane or wherever else you may be in life. We can uplift the whole society by exactly as this little video is showing. A culture of respecting relationships with the Supreme and with others in a world that needs it. How about anybody else? Yes.
I have a question based on just like we got imperfect senses, and it's
Regarding what?
We have imperfect senses, and it's difficult for us to, even though we can see things happening in front of us, and we can know someone. It's difficult to know what someone's action actually is because we don't know the inside of what someone is doing.
Well, that's you're speaking of the mind distinct from the body, but I'm speaking of the soul. No, I can't see your soul. I confess. But I know that your soul. And so I can know you as a spirit. I can think of you in terms of what's, as you say, going on inside, your emotions, your contemplations, your value system. I can get some idea of your value system from your behaviors and speech, but I don't really know what's going on inside. But neither of those, that's all the package, and it's not really who you are. Anyway, so now, if I relate to you more in terms of who you really are as a spirit soul, what's going to happen is that package, the gross and subtle coverings, are going to become more elevated through the modes of nature. Your value system will become elevated. What you speak, how you speak, what you eat, how you conduct yourself with others, and don't conduct, prevent, control yourself from doing cruel and hurtful things unto others, like this, property of violence and so forth and so forth. It elevates the consciousness of the other individual by treating them, respecting them, according to the covering, yes, but also according to who they really are. It's bhakti life. So, back to your question. Yes, I may not know what's going on inside, as you say. Their thoughts, their contemplations, their ambitions, their motivations. I may not know all that stuff. And by getting to know them, I can have some idea of that stuff. I still don't know perfectly, but I still get respect for who they really are in the higher sense, and help them come to that stage of realization of who they really are. What can I do with this other person to help in that regard? And that all my interactions be like that, in principle. Addressing the soul and elevation of the soul through gradations. No, not all at once, but in gradation, little step by step. That's bhakti life.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Krishna Krishna. Is she? Oh, and she's not asleep. I was going to ask, is she asleep?
No.
Okay. I'm waving to you. I won't.
No.
Anything else? We're done. Okay. Fantastic. Cookies?
Mark, would you like a little Mahamantra Kirtan?
Sure. By the way, this sound, the sound of the guitar makes the kirtan so nice. Thank you for being with us.
He's a pro, Mark. He's got a master's in guitar. Music.
I'm complimenting. It resonates very, very much. Thank you for being with us.
Give Marge cartons.
Oh, isn't that the bowl? The bowl. Isn't that bowl?
Swami.
Vedasar, it's 8 o'clock. I just looked at my, so, huh?
You have to leave.
I'll stay for a while, but your kirtan begins, and I'm gonna gently slip out the door. Because I have a flight tomorrow morning, and
So we'll take prasadam from you then we'll have kirtan. You have prasadam to give everyone, right?
well, if you've got
Yes.
cookies, yes. Yes?
So, I know that many of you missed the earlier portions of it. I also didn't introduce to you our speaker today. I'm so grateful that all of you made it, and it's really nice to see you all again. And so many of you came first time, and this is where we gather every Thursday to just sing and share bhakti. And so this week we were just so fortunate that His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj, you can actually check out his YouTube channel. It's got a lot of really cool stuff. Romapada Swami, I can share with you in the group. So it's so nice that he's here because he's spent his whole life studying. He was going to go to med school, finishing his pre-med school, and then he finds this treasure trove of ancient wisdom in a magazine, and then he was drawn to it. And ever since then, he's just soaking it all up and just sharing with the whole world. You know, he travels very extensively. He's just here during the weekdays, and then weekends he's got another event, another weekday somewhere else, another weekend somewhere else. So he's continuously traveling, and inspiring thousands of people around the world. And online, on Zoom, I remember attending one of his calls. There was like 400 Chinese people on a Zoom call, translations, listening to this ancient wisdom. So we're so grateful that Maharaj is here, and we hope that he'll continue to come, and we will also continue to have your presence so we can try and absorb some of the deep wisdom and realizations that he brings to this world. So we'll welcome him by saying Hari Bol. Try that mantra. Say Hari.
Hari.
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
You're supposed to raise both arms. So it's a yoga exercise. And for those of you who already grew your forearms, you're supposed to have two invisible arms. So raise all four of your arms and you see if you can touch the ceiling, because it's this beautiful stretch you get. You ready? And take a deep breath and say Hari Bol 5 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So we'll
Looking
have
forward to
some-
getting back with all of you. It's like many smiling faces. If you can have nice kirtan after I go.
Sure, we'll
This-
take some
this-
sweets
this-
from you.
Fellow with his music skills. Gotta have more. We'll meet again.
So we'll come and we'll take sweets. One of the things that's part of a yoga routine is that they provide this beautiful, delicious sweets. It's supposed to purify our consciousness because they're sanctified sweets.
Here you go.
And then we'll have some ecstatic kirtan. We don't have as much space as Karina's studio, so we can.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Or if you like sweet apple.
I don't know, I was gone for a while.
I know. Hey. Nice to see you. I made it. That's some nice kirtan as well.
Here we go.
Oh, this
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a good look.
How was it?
From Mahamantra.
Naveen is finishing his PhD at Emory.
In what?
I didn't say what
If you didn't get it,
And 20 would you like I mean,
hey, he's offering you seconds, man.
do it like
You
You
got
gotta
it?
be stingy for the sweets.
Done.
I didn't want to
Oh,
It is.
and also
So let's do a little yoga exercise before we do the ecstatic kirtan. So raise both your hands. Say Nitai. Nitai. Gauranga. Gauranga. Nitai. Nitai. Gauranga. Gauranga. Opens up your lungs, opens up your heart. Stretch your arms. Nitai. Nitai. Gauranga. Gauranga. Gauranga.
Daniel. Very good. She's it looks like
So I need a beat everywhere. This is the beat. And then we have dinner, so don't leave, please. So, this is dinner. Hare Oh, that's good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Everyone together. Hare Perfect. Danya. Everybody, give it up for Danya. Haribol. One last one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Give me this beat. This is the prayer of protection. Your seats here if you want to wait. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. thank you all for coming. It's so nice to be with all of you. And we have dinner for you now. So we'll have a buffet style in the serve. So and please, huh? Oh, there is a group picture. Balaram wants a group picture. He wants to remember all of you. So he doesn't forget.
Group pictures.
Can I really quick?
And for those of you